So good afternoon. Today is the day I got this car 3 years ago, and we made it. We're 26 miles short of 15,000 miles since I fixed the odometer gauge there to work properly. Since it didn't work for like almost 2 months, and I drove some with that car, I would say we probably got 15,000 on it, and everything went okay. I'm going to show you in a second the new alternator. I put the new fan in. I didn't show that part. I will show the old one here in a second. And let me just see. That comes on here. This is an auto, and this is the low setting. So now it is no longer squealing, but this motor, the new one from Euro, has a slightly higher RPM at the low setting. And that has to do that the motor has almost twice the DC resistance of the old motor from Bosch. Otherwise, we have no issues. Yeah, let me just show you this here real quick. We go around the car. So we got the AL in here with the pulley I had on there before, and that is the Duralast belt now with 200 odd miles on it. And you can see it, this is exactly the same replacement as what we had in there and rebuilt with a diode ring, which was a non-Bosch diode ring or rectifier assembly, broke. I also installed the new air hoses here 8 months ago, and Mercedes-Benz seems to have resolved its rubber problems. They have held up through the summer and through the first freezing temperatures here. So they're okay now. I have not had any problems anymore with them starting to leak on both sides. And I replaced those, I think it was in April. And this is the Bosch replacement S6. And this is now the fan out of the very first video I posted, which was a short and which had 1,700 views. I cut the wires off because the new ones have only the terminals on here, and I made an extender which makes this easier. Two extensions in red and blue. They have only these type of connectors, and the actual connector on the harness is much shorter. So I cut them off here. I left enough on here to put a connector back on here. This motor could be rebuilt, but this motor doesn't have a bearing. What they have in here on the back side is a oil light bushing. And the new motor from Euro has a bearing on there. We will see how long that thing is going to last. It was pretty much the same fit. However, because the Euro plastic, this part here is new. This was a tad bit larger than the old one in there, which started to shrink. So I kind of had to work this in. It will fit. Everything, as you can see, is working fine in there. I'm going to keep this because from this point on forward, we have no clue for how much longer we can get, what parts they're going to be making and which parts they're not going to be making. And that leaves me only with one project left, and that is the oil pan for the transmission. And if you have watched my videos, then you know I'm going to bring this thing out of here. And I'm going to show you this beauty here. Because it is leaking, and as you can see, this thing here, let me get this out of the bag here for a second, is now the replacement for those. And you can see that they're angled, and they would go into the car like this here. So that sits in like this. And it is this front left corner, this side here, which usually starts leaking. And what they did is they angled this over for this transmission, I have a 722.35, and on mine, the oil pan is flat. That will make draining this a lot difficult because you will have quite some fluid left in here. And as you can see, this thing was, according to this stuff here on the side, made in Germany on April 28th of this year. They put 2 stickers on here, and if we peel the old one off, you can see it that they actually had a date on there on February 9th, so either one of the 2 dates. This is the replacement part. It was $65 with the shipping on it. And you can see the same issue I had on the other one is the overblown paint on this here, where the gasket is going to sit all the way around it. And then you can see there's paint splatters in here. And this is now a Mercedes-Benz part. This came from Mercedes-Benz. And these holes here, they were not properly deburred. I had to deburr them. They still had shavings on here, which I had to take off. Just so you have an idea where this whole thing is at. But otherwise, I'm going to keep the other 2 alternators I got. This one here I got from Autoplicity, and it was $219 with tax and free shipping, but no more core charge because Bosch no longer rebuilds them. This was according to the box rebuild in the United States, and it looks like it that the bridge rectifier assembly, that ring in there, is different than the one I got from Amazon or eBay, or one of those places which sell the refurbished units. So you have to, from now on, you probably will have to keep your alternator. The one I rebuilt, I will put the old diode ring, the original Bosch diode ring, back in, since it got new bearings, and the one which was in here, which came from a 380 SE 85 model year, the previous owner had put in, I will replace the bearings on this, and then probably just machine down the contacts on it for the brushes, and that will be it, the slip ring assembly. We're going to have Martin do that on this one, but I will not change the diode rings anymore. I'm going to keep the old diode rings in the alternators. With this, I have 2 extra alternators for this car here, for this model. Otherwise, we're running fine. My steering box here in the back is starting to sweat, so I'm using about, I would say, probably 0.1 ounces of power steering fluid per 1,000 miles, and that's about it. We will see what we have to do. Next spring, I'm going to change the brake fluid. This has been in there then for 2 years or 3 years, and we're going to get that replenished and renewed. Everything else is fine here. This was just an oversight on this whole project. I hope you have a great day.